Can I just say that my experience with Linux desktop has not jived with a lot of what people have told me and with my own experience with Linux on server.
Linux on server is
the whole you don't have to restart it, it's crazy stable, whatever it is that you're talking about, that has not been my experience in no particular order. I have experienced the system refusing to reset correctly. I have experienced the display refusing to go to sleep.
Yep.
I have experienced
failing to wake from sleep.
Actually, it's wakes from sleep every time for me.
Okay.
But so I've been pretty
Mine's
good.
about 50-50.
I've been pretty good on that so far. And what was one of the other really? Oh, not being able to force close apps.
That one was very surprising to me that you had that problem.
I am just having, and this was a really weird one. Unfortunately, it was one of those things that is impossible for me to have documented, because what happened was I rebooted the system and I went to sign in and it said your credentials are wrong. And this was quite early on. And I was like, there's no way my credentials are wrong. This is a password that I have typed in a lot of times because it's just a phrase that I've typed a lot of times. There's no way, but I'll try again. Didn't get it. Try again. Didn't get it. I was like, did I do that thing again where I typo my password twice when I'm creating it in the same way? I've done it before.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I had to reformat a Windows Server install that I set up, got everything exactly the way I wanted, and then rebooted and was promptly not able to get back into it. Anyway, I was like, did I do that again? So I was like, I hunt and pecked it. I was like, nah. And I went to it wouldn't let me sign in. I was like, okay, I must have done that again. So I rebooted it just to see. Typed in my password, logged in. I've never seen, and I swear to you, so I couldn't record this because A, it involved reboots, and B, I'm not going to record myself using a password that I use for my computer.
That's been a bit of a weird one.
That's just really stupid. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I can't prove it to you, but I swear to you, on my mother's grave, it happened. She's not dead, and she probably won't have a grave. She's more into cremation, but that's not the point. The point is, I swear to you, it happened. And to be clear, like, it's not like Windows doesn't have its own bad behavior. I had a problem with my NVIDIA drivers. They got that in common. I had a problem with my NVIDIA drivers for a long time where my display wouldn't go to sleep. I finally solved it. It ended up being like a bunch of Googling. I had to go in the command line. I had to go search for what process prevented the machine from going to sleep last, blah, 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 blah. It was a whole thing. Anyway, managed to figure that out. And even in part 1 of the Linux challenge, I showed this bizarre thing that my computer was doing where it was like the up arrow was locked on. So I would press the start menu and it wouldn't even let me restart it. It would just go, yeah, it's like whipping up. Like, Windows, it has all kinds of problems.
The Windows search barely works. Windows has had issues with sleep and wake for forever.
But before you sanctimoniously declare that Linux is so much better, maybe just kind of do a little reflection and maybe see if you're just more used to it. Because as a user of both now, yeah, they're both bad.
They both have flaws.
They both definitely have flaws. There's things that could be absolutely way better. Something that didn't make it into the video that I shot today, and this would have been the most appropriate spot for it. Maybe I'll put it in part 5. That's more of like a summary. Is the way that fonts and text size is all over the place in my desktop environment.
Oh, not mine.
Yeah, it's just I'm not the kind of person who's all like, oh, the lines on this new iconography, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't really care about that kind of stuff, but having fonts just like markedly different from one window to the next is pretty distracting for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. I, though, have not had the same issues that you've had with smoothness. The actual KDE desktop environment, like interacting with things, has been great, save for Dolphin. Can I just say, if you're a Dolphin developer, you are not going to like
part
3. Dolphin is a piece of garbage. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
this is gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, I switched over to, I forget what it's called. I think it's the Ubuntu default one. It's called two different things. It's called Files, but then it's also called something else. It has like another name, File Manager Linux. I'll double check. I'll figure out what the name is.
Maybe Dolphin just isn't for you.
Nautilus.
Oh man.
Yeah, Nautilus has been at least better from a functionality standpoint, but there's all kinds of like little weird stupid things that are not cohesive even when it's working really well. So, for example, I opened up a zipped file, or a zipped folder rather, excuse me. I think a zip would be a file that contains a folder. The point is, I opened up a zip, all right? And that opened up in whatever my default file decompression application was. And in Windows or in macOS, you would be able to take one of those files, if all you needed was one of them, and you'd be able to drag it over into your file manager. So Finder or Windows Explorer, whatever the case may be, you'd be able to drag it over there and it would just extract that file and it would copy it there. Well, no, not in KDE on Manjaro, at least. Maybe other distributions handle this better, but no, instead you actually need to, like a caveman, click the extract and find the target and extract it to there that way.
You could have just done it through command line, bro.
No. If I want, look, that's something that comes up a lot. We've done a couple of streams. Luke and I together have done a couple of streams just troubleshooting things. We did one last night, actually, when we were trying to get this, we were trying to test this feature and also try and get OBS updated with a plugin, which was, boy, was that a journey. And also we got Anno 1800 working.
Pain.
So those were our missions last night that ended up taking a total of about 2.5 hours, I think.
It took a little bit.
So we've done some
To
streams.
be fair, we kind of sat there with you like AFK and Anno just talking to the stream for quite a while.
Yeah, that's true.
The actual diagnosing portion still I think was like an hour long.
No, it was more.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more.
Yeah, I don't
Because we didn't even start streaming at the beginning of that.
Right.
Yeah, we were at it for quite a while.
Yeah.
So the point is, we've done a couple of these streams sort of going through some of the challenges that we've faced live. And there's a lot of comments that come up a lot. And one of the really popular ones is just use the command line. And I can get things done in a command line. You know, I'll create a Windows storage space stupid array thing in PowerShell, or, you know, as long as I have kind of some instructions to follow. I'm not familiar with a lot of the syntax for Linux, but you got to remember, I've been using computers since the Windows 3.1 days. Like if I have to go in and cd ... whatever, I know the syntax for Windows, so I can find my way around a Windows command line, but I don't know the syntax for Linux. So a lot of the time I'll end up fudging my way through it to a far greater extent, but it's not like I'm completely incapable of using it. It's not like I don't understand the power of it. It can be outstanding. But what the people saying that have to understand is that you are completely off base. The average user is not, as soon as they see that, they're going to be like, what was this? I thought this was a computer. I thought this was finished.
One of the benefits, I think there's some drawbacks, but one of the benefits of having a bunch of different distros and desktop environments and stuff means that there can be like no GUI, no desktop environment, command line only, really like sick like infrastructure server setups that you have, whatever, stuff like that, with like insane uptime and whatever else. There can also be GUI experiences that are much more advanced for very advanced users that maybe work in the infrastructure space, and then when they want to come home, they want to be using the same type of operating system. It's very cohesive for them. Flying through the command line is second nature.
Yeah.
It's basically like walking. There's all that kind of stuff. But if we're trying to accomplish this goal that has been touted for quite a while now of like it's the year of desktop Linux, everybody's going to be using Linux, we're going to have massive penetration on the market, blah 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 blah. You're not going to get the whole world to use command line. It's just not going to happen.
No, it's
and there are
really
certain
not.
tasks like copying a file from one folder to another that like maybe you're Mr. Fast Fingers and you can get that done real quick in command line, but it's also really, really quick, especially if you know certain shortcuts and like middle mouse clicks and stuff like
To
that.
drag and drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's objectively faster. I will 1v1 you.
I will 1v1 you.
I will
Rust, bro.
1v1 you copying some files from one folder to another. Rust. Okay? Like, I get it. It's great for lots of things, but some of the things that it's great for, it doesn't need to be great for. One of my issues with Dolphin is that it doesn't allow you to copy files into a folder that requires administrative privileges. And not just you have to you open Dolphin as administrator, or you have to go into that folder's permissions and edit them.
Actually,
It does not allow it. And one of the responses on I believe it was on the Manjaro forum. I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm just not going to say where it was. It was on some forum. But one of the responses from the community was, well, you shouldn't want to do that. And I was like, but I do. Because I need to copy. Actually, it came up a couple of times already in the first just few weeks of Daily Driving Linux. Once when I wanted to install a specific version of Java so that I could get the game client for Forged Alliance Forever working. And once when I wanted to copy that OBS plugin into the OBS plugins folder. So it's come up. I do want to do that. Now I need a way to do that. And the answer was, well, you shouldn't want to do that.
yeah.
Use the command line. If you're a power user enough, you should be able to use the command line. No, if I'm a power user enough to copy a plugin into a folder, that doesn't mean I need to use the command line. I should just be power user enough to go and tick a box, get administrator privileges, and copy the thing.
On the other hand, I really like how Mint does it. I just right click in the folder that I need better permissions on.
Yeah.
That I need temporarily better permissions on. I just open as root. And then there's
Yeah.
this like red banner at the top that is like, you have this folder currently open as root.
And I can do that in Nautilus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sweet. I actually really like that.
One of the worst
I think it's
gatekeepy
really cool.
things that we ran into during one of our community streams was someone critiquing us for trying to get Forged Alliance working.
Yeah.
Like, well, who even plays that game anyway?
Yeah.
We do.
We do.
That's
We
the point.
do.
Why would they choose that random game? Because we play it. We don't choose games based on what runs on the platform.
Yeah.
That is the definition of ass backwards. You choose games based on games you want to play, and then you go with the platform that supports those games. That is how, if you need evidence because you don't believe me, that is how the world works, look no further than Nintendo. Does Nintendo make a single piece of hardware that could stand alone as a piece of hardware? No? Okay, then. It's almost like people choose platforms
is-
based on content.
Switch is kind of interesting.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it also has, like, at this point, what, a 6-7-year-old, like, mediocre ARM-based processor in it. Like, it's... For the price, I think that if...
Also,
Yeah.
I want to add that there is a guide for that game that we play. There is a guide that says, like, this is how you get it working on Linux.
Yeah.
So, like, when we dove into it, there was some amount of expectation that we would be able to get there, you know? And to be fair, I got really close. I was able to get the launcher open, and there's one bug remaining that there are some kind of antiquated, but like I was talking about before, I can probably figure it out, steps to troubleshoot. I think I might actually be able to get it working.
Really?
I think it is possible, but it is a journey because that whole guide, which is pretty long, none of it works. You have to change everything. But again, it's like it's a bit of an interesting experience, but it's not that interesting of an experience when you're getting berated by the community.